हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू द लाइव सेशन। तो आज हम शुरू करेंगे एनसीईआरटी के पॉलिटी का टेस्ट सीरीज़। तो आज हम देखेंगे पॉलिटी का सेट 1। तो शुरू करते हैं हमारा आज का टेस्ट सीरीज़। और आप भी मेरे साथ अटेंड कीजिए, और अगर आपको आता है तो मुझे चैट में आंसर बताइए। तो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है, Which of the following committees recommended the inclusion of fundamental duties in the Constitution? ऑप्शंस है बन्ना कमेटी, रामास्वामी कमेटी, जकरी कमेटी, स्वर्ण सिंह कमेटी। तो इसका आंसर है डी, स्वर्ण सिंह कमेटी। सेकेंड क्वेश्चन है, द फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज ऑफ ए सिटीजन इंक्लूड रेस्पेक्ट फॉर द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, द नेशनल फ्लैग एंड द नेशनल एंथम, रेस्पेक्ट फॉर द प्रेसिडेंट, रेस्पेक्ट फॉर द गवर्नमेंट, ऑल द अबव। तो इसका आंसर है respect for the constitution, the national flag and the national anthem. Consider the following statements and state which are correct. Fundamental duties of the citizen have been adopted by the 44th Amendment of the Constitution. Article 51A contained in Part 4A of the Constitution deals with fundamental duties. तो इसका आंसर है डी, only 2 is correct. मतलब आर्टिकल 51A contained in Part 4A of the Constitution deals with fundamental duties. Which one of the following was not included originally as the directive principle of the Constitution of India? Citizens' right to an adequate means of livelihood, free and compulsory education to children under 14 years of age, free legal aid, prohibition of the slaughter of cows and calves. इसका आंसर है फ्री लीगल एड। Which of the following directive principles of state policy come into category of liberal principles? The state shall endeavour to secure a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. The state shall protect every monument or place or object of artistic or historic interest. The state shall endeavour to secure to all workers a living wage and conditions of working ensuring a decent standard of life. The state shall take steps to separate the judiciary from the executive. तो इसका आंसर है डी, मतलब 1, 2 और 4. The state shall endeavour to secure a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. The state shall protect every monument or place or object of artistic or historic interest, or the state shall take steps to separate the judiciary from the executive. The enforcement of directive principle depends mostly on the courts and effective opposition in parliament, resources available to the government, public cooperation. तो इसका आंसर है सी, resources available to the government. What are the Gandhian principles incorporated in the Indian Constitution? Efforts to be made for the development of weaker or backward sections of the society. Prohibition on the use of intoxicating liquor except for medicinal purposes. Organization of village panchayat. Establishment of cottage and small scale industries in rural areas. तो इसका आंसर है डी, ऑल 4. मतलब efforts to be made for the development of weaker or backward section of the society, prohibition on the use of intoxicating liquor except for medicinal purposes, organization of village panchayat, or establishment of cottage and small scale industries in rural areas. Right to property was eliminated from the list of fundamental rights during the tenure of Mrs. Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, चरण सिंह, मोरारजी देसाई. तो इसका आंसर है मोरारजी देसाई. Under the Constitution, the fundamental right of the citizen can be restricted, but the final authority to decide whether these restrictions are reasonable or not rests with the Parliament, Courts, Council of Ministers, President. तो इसका आंसर है courts. Which of the following is or are the provisions of Article 18 of the Constitution of India which pertains to the right to equality to the citizens of India? No title not being military or academic distinction shall be conferred by the state. No citizen of India shall accept any title from any foreign state. No person holding any office or profit or trust under the state shall, without the consent of the President, accept any present, emolument, or office of any kind from or under any foreign state. All of the above three. तो इसका आंसर है डी, all of the above three. Which of the following points are the points of criticism against the fundamental rights? The economic and social rights do not find any place in the chapter on fundamental rights. The fundamental rights are almost absolute and attach too much importance to the interest of the individual. The remedies for the protection of the fundamental rights are very expensive and beyond the capacity of the ordinary citizen. The rights are hedged with so many restrictions and limitations that they are virtually became ineffective. तो इसका आंसर है सी, 1, 3 और 4. मतलब the economic and social rights do not find any place in the chapter on fundamental rights. The revenues for the protection of the fundamental rights are very expensive and beyond the capacity of the ordinary citizens. The rights are hedged with so many restrictions and limitations that they virtually became ineffective. What was the main judgment of the Supreme Court regarding Parliament's right to amend the fundamental rights in the Keshav Nanda Bharati case? The Supreme Court took away the right of Parliament to amend the fundamental rights. The Supreme Court declared that Parliament had no right to amend the fundamental rights. The Supreme Court upheld the right of Parliament to amend any part of the Constitution, including Part 3 of the Constitution, but it also declared that Parliament had no right to amend the basic structure of the Constitution. None of the above. तो इसका आंसर है Option C. The Supreme Court upheld the right of the Parliament to amend any part of the Constitution, including Part 3 of the Constitution, but it also declared that Parliament had no right to amend the basic structure of the Constitution. The right to freedom of religion granted by the Indian Constitution implies that the Indian citizens not having faith in some religion shall not be appointed to the government offices, have to follow the religion of the state, are free to have faith in a religion other than the state's religion, have the freedom to profess, practice or propagate a religion of their choice. तो इसका आंसर है D. Have the freedom to profess, practice or propagate a religion of their choice. Which one of the following objectives is not embodied in the preamble to the Constitution of India? Liberty of thought, liberty of expression, liberty of belief, economic liberty. तो इसका आंसर है economic liberty. The preamble enshrines certain ideas that were first spelled out in the speech by Jawaharlal Nehru on the banks of Ravi when he called for Purna Swaraj, the Nehru Report, a resolution adopted at Karachi session of the Indian National Congress. The objectives resolution adopted by the Constituent Assembly. तो इसका आंसर है the objectives resolution adopted by the Constituent Assembly. The objective resolutions adopted by the Constituent Assembly on January 22, 1947 was drafted by Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Ambedkar, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, B.N. Rao. तो इसका आंसर है जवाहरलाल नेहरू. The Constituent Assembly that finally framed India's constitution was set up under the Indian Independence Act, under the Government of India Act 1935, under the Cabinet Mission Plan 1946, by the Queen's Proclamation. तो इसका आंसर है under the Cabinet Mission Plan 1946. The functions of the Estimates Committee of Parliament include presenting annually to the Parliament an economic survey report on the country's state of economy, reporting on what economic improvement in organization or administrative reforms can be effected, examining whether the money is well laid out within the limits of the policy implied in the estimates, suggesting the form in which estimates should be presented to the Parliament. इसका आंसर है बी 2, 3 and 4. मतलब reporting on what economic improvement in organization or administrative reforms can be effected, examining whether the money is well laid out within the limits of the policy implied in the estimates, suggesting the form in which estimates would be presented in the Parliament. On which one of the following list of the subjects can Parliament legislate? Union list, concurrent list, residuary subject, on all these. तो इसका आंसर है D, on all these. The Lok Sabha Secretariat comes under the direct supervision of Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Speaker of the Lok Sabha, the President. तो इसका आंसर है Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Assessment. If the budget presented to the Rajya Sabha is not passed within the stipulated period, the budget proposals are not affected. Reason. In financial matters, the Lok Sabha is more powerful than the Rajya Sabha. तो इसका आंसर है A. Both assertion and reason are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. At a joint sitting of Parliament, a bill has to be passed by a simple majority of the total number of members of both houses, by a two-third majority of the total members of total number of members of both houses, by a simple majority of the total number of members of both houses present and voting, by a two-third majority of the total number of members of both houses present and voting. तो इसका आंसर है C, by a simple majority of the total number of members of both houses present and voting. The purpose of adjournment motion is to propose a reduction in the budget, seek the approval of the House to a matter of urgent public importance, draw the attention of the House to a matter of urgent public importance, seek the leave of the House to introduce a governmental bill. तो इसका आंसर है draw the attention of the House to a matter of urgent public importance. The Parliament of India cannot be regarded as a sovereign body because its authority is confined to the jurisdiction earmarked by the Constitution. Laws passed by Parliament can be declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court of the presence of certain fundamental rights of citizens of all these factors. तो इसका आंसर है D, of all these factors. Which one of the parliamentary committees in India is a watchdog on departmental expenditure and irregularities? Estimates Committee, Committee on Public Undertakings, Public Accounts Committee, Committee on Public Assurances. तो इसका आंसर है Public Accounts Committee. Parliament is empowered to get the following removed: Comptroller and Auditor General, Supreme Court Judges, Chairman of UPSC, High Court Judges. तो इसका आंसर है A 1, 2, 3, 4, मतलब कंप्ट्रोलर एंड ऑडिटर जनरल, सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजेस, चेयरमैन ऑफ यूपीएससी और हाई कोर्ट जजेस सबको पार्लियामेंट रिमूव कर सकता है. Which of the following are the circumstances under which an elected member of parliament may be disqualified on the grounds of defection? If he voluntarily gives up his membership of a political party, if he votes or abstains from voting contrary to any directions issued by his political party without prior permission of the political party, if he is expelled by the party for anti-party activities, if he joins a political party other than the party on whose ticket he contested and got elected. Select the correct answer from the codes given below. तो इसका आंसर है B 1, 2 और 4. If he voluntarily gives up his membership of political party, if he votes or abstains from voting contrary to any direction issued by his political party without prior permission of the political party, or if he joins a political party other than the party on whose ticket he contested and got elected. After a bill passed by the parliament, it is sent to the president for his assent, who can return it for reconsideration to Lok Sabha. But if the bill is passed again and sent to the president for his assent, he has to sign it, can send the bill to the parliament for reconsideration for the second time, can submit the same to the people for referendum, can get it nullified through the Supreme Court. तो इसका आंसर है A has to sign it. If there is a deadlock over any bill between the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, the procedure prescribed for resolving the deadlock is that President may call a joint sitting of the two houses in which the matter is decided. Bill is presented to the President for his decision. Speaker of the Lok Sabha may call the joint sitting of the two houses and decide the issue. The will of the Lok Sabha prevails. तो इसका आंसर है A. President may call a joint sitting of the two houses in which the matter is decided. Consider the following statements in respect of the Prime Minister's office (PMO). The Prime Minister's office consists of immediate staff of the Prime Minister of India as well as multiple levels of support staff reporting to the Prime Minister. The PMO is headed by the Principal Secretary. The PMO was originally called the Prime Minister's Secretariat. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? तो इसका आंसर है A 1 2 3. 31 है assertion and reason. Assertion है equality before law is not applicable to the President of India. Reason: the President of India enjoys special powers and privileges under the Constitution. तो इसका आंसर है D. Assertion is false but reason is true. The Vice President's letter of resignation is to be addressed to the Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Chief Justice of India, President, Speaker. तो इसका आंसर है President. Which one of the following powers can be exercised by both the President and the Governor? Power to remit a sentence in an offence relating to a matter on the state list, power to pardon a sentence by court-martial, power to commute a sentence of death in certain circumstances, power to remit a sentence by court-martial. तो इसका आंसर है C. Power to commute a sentence of death in certain circumstances. The Council of Ministers has no option but to resign if it loses the confidence of Parliament, either House of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. तो इसका आंसर है D. Lok Sabha. The President takes oath before assuming office in the presence of the Chief Justice of India. If the Chief Justice is not available, he takes the oath in the presence of the senior-most judge of the Supreme Court, the Vice President, the Attorney General of India, Election Commissioner. तो इसका आंसर है in the presence of the senior-most judge of the Supreme Court. In the event of the resignation or death of the Prime Minister, the ministry is dissolved. Fresh general election must take place. The cabinet may choose another leader. The president decides what to do. तो इसका आंसर है the ministry is dissolved. Which of the following is constitutionally obligatory on the part of Prime Minister of India? The Prime Minister, if he happens to be a leader of a party not having the required majority, should prove majority strength in both houses of Parliament within the period stipulated by the President. As the President is the Supreme Commander of the Defence Forces, the Prime Minister has to take all major decisions regarding defence only after prior approval of the President. The Prime Minister has to communicate to the President all decisions of Cabinet relating to administration and proposal of administrations. As the ministers are appointed by the Prime Minister, the Minister has to go by presidential discretion in the allocation of business among ministers. तो इसका आंसर है C. The Prime Minister has to communicate to the President all decisions of Cabinet relating to administration and proposals of administration. Part 5 of the Constitution deals with Union Executive, Parliament, Supreme Court and High Court, Comptroller and Auditor General. तो इसका आंसर है सी ऑल द फोर, मतलब यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव, पार्लियामेंट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट एंड हाई कोर्ट, कंट्रोलर एंड ऑडिटर जनरल, सब है पार्ट 5 में। 39 का एसर्शन एंड रीजन है। इसमें एसर्शन नीचे लिखा है, द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स इन द यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया इज कलेक्टिवली रेस्पॉन्सिबल both to Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The members of both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha are eligible to be appointed as the ministers of the union government. तो इसका आंसर है डी, assertion is false but reason is true. Disputes regarding the election of the president and vice president are settled in the Supreme Court, by the Election Commission, by a parliamentary committee, in the Supreme Court or High Court. तो इसका आंसर है in the Supreme Court. A member of the parliament or a state legislature can be elected as a president, but he has to relinquish his seat within 6 months of his election. He has to resign his seat before contesting the election. He has to relinquish his seat as soon as he is elected. तो इसका आंसर है C3 only, मतलब he has to relinquish his seat as soon as he is elected. Which of the following statements about the ad hoc judges of the Supreme Court is correct? They can be appointed by the Chief Justice of India in consultation with the President. They can be appointed by the Chief Justice of India in consultation with the other judges. They can be appointed by the President on the advice of the Union Law Minister. They can be appointed by Union Law Minister. तो इसका आंसर है A. They can be appointed by the Chief Justice of India in consultation with the President. Consider the following statements regarding the directive principles of state policy. The principles spell out the socio-economic democracy in the country. The provisions contained in 3 principles are not enforceable by any court. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? तो इसका आंसर है C, both 1 and 2. Which of the following are correct? The Supreme Court cannot interfere with the delimitation of the constituencies. The Supreme Court cannot question the detention or arrest of a person or an act if it has been made in accordance with the procedure established by law. The Supreme Court cannot declare unconstitutional a law passed by the Parliament. The Supreme Court cannot question the decision of the Speaker as to whether a bill is a money bill or not. तो इसका आंसर है B, 1, 2 and 4. The advisory powers of the Supreme Court of India imply that it tenders advice to the President on question, it tenders advice to the Prime Minister on legal matters, it tenders advice to the Government of India on all constitutional matters. It has powers to tender advice to all the above persons. तो इसका आंसर है A. It tenders advice in the Parliament on to the President on questions. तो ये है मैच द फॉलोइंग. लिस्ट 1 में है जुरिडिक्शन ऑफ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, लिस्ट 2 में है केसेस कवर्ड. तो लिस्ट 1 में है ओरिजिनल जुरिडिक्शन, एपलेट जुरिडिक्शन, एडवाइजरी जुरिडिक्शन. लिस्ट 2 में है advice on any question of law as may be referred to by Supreme Court for consideration by the President, case involving interpretation of the Constitution, appointment of other uh, ऑफिसर्स एंड सर्वेंट्स ऑफ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट। तो इसका आंसर है ओरिजिनल जुरिडिक्शन का होगा डिस्प्यूट बिटवीन गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एंड स्टेट। एपलेट जुरिडिक्शन का होगा केस इन्वॉल्विंग इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। और एडवाइजरी जुरिडिक्शन का होगा एडवाइजरी ऑन एनी क्वेश्चन। तो इसका आंसर होगा ऑप्शन सी। Which of the following is not a power of High Court? Supervision over all courts under its jurisdiction, jurisdiction over revenue matters, supervisions over tribunal constituted by law relating to the armed forces, issue writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights for any other purpose। तो इसका आंसर है सी supervision over threats consisting by law relating to the armed force। The concept of public interest litigation originated in the United Kingdom, Australia, the United States, Canada। तो इसका आंसर है द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स। Consider the following statements about the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court at present comprises of a Chief Justice and 25 other judges. The original jurisdiction of Supreme Court extends over dispute between India and foreign states. The Supreme Court has been created by the Constitution of India. The Supreme Court, besides having its permanent seat at New Delhi, can meet elsewhere depending on the decision of the Chief Justice of India, consulting it with the President of India. Which of the statements are correct? तो इसका आंसर है बी 1, 3 and 4। At the apex of the subordinate criminal court stands the Supreme High Court, the State High Court, Court of Session Judge, Court of District Judge। तो इसका आंसर है सी कोर्ट ऑफ सेशन जज। The framers of the Constitution borrowed the idea of judicial review from the Constitution of United Kingdom, France, USA, Holland। तो इसका आंसर है USA। The Chief Justice or a judge of the High Court can be removed by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Same procedure for the judges of the Supreme Court, Economy, Union Home Minister। तो इसका आंसर है same procedure as for the judges of the Supreme Court। Consider the following statement. Supreme Court in 2011 has decided as illegal and unconstitutional the deployment of tribal youth as special police officers in the fight against the Maoist insurgency. The court bench held that the policy of the Chhattisgarh violated the rights under Articles 14 and 21 of the Constitution. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? इसका आंसर है सी, बोथ आर राइट. Who discharges the duties of the office of a governor if it falls vacant due to death or resignation of the governor? The Chief Justice of India. The President immediately appoints an acting governor. The senior most judge of the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice of the High Court. तो इसका आंसर है डी, द चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ द हाई कोर्ट. The strength of the Council of Ministers is fixed by the Constitution, is determined by Parliament, is determined by state legislature of every state, is determined by the Chief Minister. तो इसका आंसर है डी, is determined by the Chief Minister. Which of the following powers and functions of Chief Minister in relation to the Governor are correct? The Chief Minister is the chief link between the Governor and the Council of Ministers. It is the Chief Minister who keeps the Governor informed of all decisions of the Council of Ministers. The Chief Minister has to furnish such information as the Governor may call for. The Governor has discretionary powers to summon and prorogue the sessions of state legislatures. Choose the correct answer from the course given below. तो इसका आंसर है ए, 1, 2 and 3. Which one of the following is not included among the duties of the Chief Minister in relation to the Governor? Communicating to the Governor all decisions of Council of Ministers, supplying to Governor information on such matters relating to the administration of the state as he calls for, assisting the Governor in making appointment in the state government, advising the Governor to recommend to the Parliament that the government of the state cannot be carried out in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. तो इसका आंसर है D, advising the Governor to recommend to the President that the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Which one of the following legislative powers are enjoyed by the Governor? He summons or prorogues either house of the state legislature. He addresses either or both the houses of the Constitution commencement of the new session after each general election. He dissolves both the houses in case of difference over the enactment of law. He sends messages to the state legislature on a bill pending before it. इसका आंसर है ए, 1, 2, 4. With reference to the states of India, consider the following statements. 6 months shall not intervene between the last sitting of the state legislature and the first sitting of next session. After every general election to the state assembly, the governor has to address the state assembly on the very first sitting, so also the first session every year. Which of these statements are correct? तो इसका आंसर है सी, both 1 and 2. The Speaker of the Legislative Assembly can be removed from office before his normal term by the Chief Minister, the Government, the Legislative Assembly by passing a resolution by majority of its total membership, none of the above. तो इसका आंसर है the Legislative Assembly by passing a resolution by majority of its total membership. The members of the Legislative Council nominated by the Governor shall have special knowledge or practical experience in respect to such matters as literature, science, art, cooperative movement and social service, literature, science, art, national movement and social service, literature, science, art and social science, science, art, cooperative movement and social service. तो इसका आंसर है A. Literature, Science, Art, Cooperative Movement and Social Service. No bill seeking to impose restriction on interstate trade can be introduced in a state legislature without the previous sanction of the President, without the previous sanction of Governor, without the previous sanction of the Speaker, without the previous sanction of the Advocate General. तो इसका आंसर है A. Without the previous sanction of the President. The members of Legislative Council are directly elected by the people, chiefly nominated, elected by local bodies, graduates, teachers, Legislative Assembly, etc., elected by the Legislative Assembly. तो इसका आंसर है C. Elected by local bodies, graduates, teachers, Legislative Assembly, etc. The main function of the Election Commission include to conduct elections to the Lok Sabha Legislative Assembly offices of the President and Vice President, to recognize various political parties, allot symbols and determine constituencies, to keep voters list up to date all time. It determines the code of conduct to be observed by the parties and the candidate at the time of election. Choose the correct answer from the codes given below. तो इसका आंसर है D. All of these. Recognition of a political party can be withdrawn by the Election Commission on account of failure of the party to observe the model code of conduct, on account of failure of the party to follow lawful direction and instructions of the Election Commission with the prior consent of the SC of India. तो इसका आंसर है C. 1 and 2. A political party is deemed to be a national party if and only if such political party gains less than 4% of the total number of votes in more than 4 states, not less than 4% of the total number of valid votes in not more than 10 states, its own government in more than 10 states, not less than 6% of the total number of valid votes in more than 4 states. तो इसका आंसर है D. Not less than 6% of the total number of valid votes in more than 4 states. Which of the following activities indulged by a candidate during an election campaign constitute corrupt practices? Giving gifts to voters to induce them to vote, appealing for votes on grounds of caste or religion, false character assassination of other candidates, propagation and glorification of sati. तो इसका आंसर है D. 1, 2, 3, 4. मतलब giving gifts to voters to induce them to vote, appealing for votes on the grounds of caste or religion, false character assassination of other candidates, or propagation and glorification of sati. In which respect have the center-state relations been specifically termed as municipal relations? Centers control of the state in the legislative sphere, centers control of the state in financial matters, centers control of the state in the administrative sector, sectors consent of the state in the planning process. तो इसका आंसर है डी sectors centers control of the state in the planning process. The qualification for the chairman and other members of the Finance Commission are laid down in Constitution, prescribed by Parliament from time to time, prescribed by the President in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. तो इसका आंसर है बी, presented by Parliament from time to time. The distribution of power between the center and the states in Indian Constitution is based on the scheme provided in the Minto-Morley Reforms 1909, the Montague-Chelmsford Act 1919, the Governor of India Act 1935, the Indian Independence Act 1947. तो इसका आंसर है सी, द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935. Consider the following statements. National Development Council is concerned with the work of assessment of resource for the plan, formation of national plan, consideration of national plan, review of the national plan. तो इसका आंसर है A 1, 3 and 4. Assessment of resources for the plan, consideration of the national plan, or review of the national plan. Which of the following is contained in the concurrent list? Agriculture, education, fisheries, police. तो इसका आंसर है education. Delhi has been called the National Capital Territory by which Amendment Act? 15th Amendment Act, 56th Amendment Act, 62nd Amendment Act, 69th Amendment Act. तो इसका है आंसर डी, 69th Amendment Act. The Zonal Council, which aim at ensuring cooperation amongst various states, are created by the States Reorganization Act 1956, provided in the Constitution, created by the 42nd Amendment during the emergency. None of this. तो 74 का आंसर है ए, created by the States Representation Act 1956. Special rights and privileges upon persons permanently resident in the state of Jammu and Kashmir includes employment under the state government, acquisition of immovable property in state, right to scholarship and such other forms of aid is the state government may provide, right to effect outsiders settled in the state. Select the correct answer from the codes given below. तो इसका आंसर है B 1, 2 and 3. Under which one of the kinds of emergencies salaries of government employees, including the judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts, may be reduced? National emergency, financial emergency, emergency due to failure of constitutional machinery, none of these. तो इसका आंसर है बी, फाइनेंशियल emergency. The President can declare financial emergency if there is a threat to the financial stability or credit of India to meet the extraordinary expenses of conducting a war on the recommendation of the Comptroller and Auditor General if the majority of the state legislatures so recommend. तो इसका आंसर है if there is a threat to the financial stability or credit of India. Which one of the following changes is not affected during the national emergency? The President can issue direction to the state with regard to exercise of their executive powers, certain discretionary powers of the President, the fundamental rights of the Indian citizens can be suspended, the distribution of revenue between the Union and the states can be modified. तो इसका आंसर होगा बी, certain discretionary powers of the President. 79 मैच द फॉलोइंग है. लिस्ट 1 में है पंचायती राज सिस्टम, पंचायत, पंचायत समिति, जिला परिषद. लिस्ट 2 में है बलवंत राय मेहता कमेटी, ब्लॉक लेवल, डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल, विलेज लेवल. तो इसका आंसर देखते हैं. पंचायती राज सिस्टम का है बलवंत राय मेहता कमेटी, पंचायत है विलेज लेवल, पंचायत समिति है ब्लॉक लेवल, जिला परिषद है डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल. तो इसका आंसर होगा ऑप्शन बी. Which of the following functions of Panchayat Samiti are correct? It prepares plans for development at block level. It is responsible for the implementation of community development program within its jurisdiction. It monitors and supervises the working of Gram Panchayat and can make suggestions for improving the performance of it within its jurisdiction. It works as the watchdog of the Gram Panchayat, which is its executive body. Choose the correct answer using the codes. तो इसका आंसर है B, 1, 2 and 3. It prepares plans for development at block level. It is responsible for the implementation of community development program within its jurisdiction. It monitors and supervises the working of Gram Panchayat and can make suggestions for improving the performance of it within its jurisdiction. The ideal of welfare state in the Indian Constitution is enshrined in its preamble, directive principles of state policy, fundamental rights, 7th schedule. तो इसका आंसर है directive principles of state policy. Which of the following are the features of 74th Amendment Act in municipalities? Reservation of seats for SCs and STs in proportion of their population, mandatory periodic elections every 5 years. The procedure for maintenance of accounts and audit would be decided by the state governor. Constitution of Nagar Panchayat for smaller urban areas. तो इसका आंसर है D, 1 and 2. Reservation of seats for SCs and ST in proportion of their population, mandatory periodic election every 5 years. Which one of the following are true about the 73rd Constitutional Amendment in the area of Panchayati Raj? 30% seats in all elected rural local bodies will be reserved for women candidates at all levels. The state will constitute the Finance Commission to allocate resources to Panchayati Raj institution. The Panchayati Raj elected functionaries will be disqualified to hold their offices if they have more than 2 children. तो इसका आंसर है C, 1 and 2. 30% seat in all elected rural local bodies will be reserved for women candidates at all levels. The state will constitute their finance commission to allocate resources to Panchayati Raj institutions. Which of the following functions are performed by a Gram Sabha? All public problems are discussed, village budget and programs are framed, beneficiaries of various government programs are identified. In order to keep a watch on the panchayat, a village vigilance committee is constituted. तो इसका आंसर है A 1, 2 and 3. In which constitutional amendment act Goa was made a full-fledged state with a state assembly? 43rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1977, 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978, 56th Constitutional Amendment Act 1987, 57th Constitutional Amendment Act 1987. तो इसका आंसर है 56th Constitutional Amendment Act 1987. 86 में से फॉलोइंग है. लिस्ट 1 में है रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ स्टेट. सिक्किम बिकेम 22nd स्टेट ऑफ इंडियन यूनियन. 9th शेड्यूल एडेड. एवोल्यूशन ऑफ टाइटल्स ऑफ प्रिंसेस. लिस्ट 2 में है 7th अमेंडमेंट, 36th अमेंडमेंट, 1st अमेंडमेंट, 26th अमेंडमेंट. तो इसका आंसर देखते हैं. रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन का 7th, सिक्किम का 36th, 9th का 1st और एवोल्यूशन ऑफ टाइटल्स का 26th. मतलब ऑप्शन ए. 87 है. Which of the following are true about the Attorney General of India? He is not a member of the cabinet. He has the right to speak in the House of Parliament. He has the right to vote in Parliament. He must have same qualification as those required to be a judge of the Supreme Court. तो इसका आंसर है A 1 to 4. Consider the following statements. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India is removed by the President on the grounds of proved misbehavior after an inquiry conducted by the Supreme Court. The reports of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India relating to the accounts of the Union and the State shall be submitted to the Parliament by the CAG. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? तो इसका आंसर है D, neither 1 nor 2. Which of the statements given below is or are true? The post of Attorney General of India, which is a constitutional post under Article 76 of the Constitution of India. The post of the Solicitor General and the Additional Solicitors General are merely statutory. The Solicitor General for India is the second law officer of the country, assists the Attorney General and is himself associated by several additional Solicitors General of India. इसका आंसर है D, all the above. The ultimate responsibility of taking due action on comments of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India rests with the President of India, Supreme Court, Parliament, National Development Council. तो इसका आंसर है Parliament. Which one of the following duties is not performed by Comptroller and Auditor General of India? To audit and report on all expenditure from the Consolidated Fund of India, to audit and report on all expenditure from Contingency Fund and public accounts, to audit and report on all trading, manufacturing, profit and loss accounts, to control the receipt and issue of public money and to ensure that the public revenue is lodged in the exchequer. तो इसमें नॉट परफॉर्म्ड बाय कंट्रोलर एंड ऑडिटर जनरल बोला है. तो इसका आंसर होगा D, to control the receipt and issue of public money to ensure that the public revenue is lodged in the exchequer. Which one of the following statements is not correct about the Advocate General of the state? The Advocate General holds office during the pleasure of the Governor. The Advocate General of the state is appointed by the Governor. The Advocate General advises the state government on legal matters. The Advocate General cannot take part in the proceedings in the state legislature. इसका आंसर है D, क्योंकि इसमें नॉट करेक्ट पूछा है. तो द एडवोकेट जनरल कैन नॉट टेक पार्ट इन द प्रोसीडिंग्स इन द स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर, ये रॉन्ग होगा। कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स विद रेस्पेक्ट टू अटॉर्नी जनरल ऑफ इंडिया। ही इज अपॉइंटेड बाय द प्रेसिडेंट. He must have the same qualification as are required by a judge of high court. In the performance of his duties, he shall have the right of audience in all courts of India. Which of these statements is or are correct? इसका आंसर होगा बी 1 and 3. He is appointed by the president, or in the performance of his duty, he shall have the right of audience in all courts of India. Consider the following statements. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India audits all expenditure from the revenues of the Union and the states, ensures the total withdrawals by the Union government do not exceed the amounts approved by the Parliament, can comment on correctness or otherwise of financial transaction of the Union and the states, point out cases of non-compliance of rules and regulation in expenditure. Which of these are correct? इसका आंसर है डी 1, 2, 3 and 4. Which one of the following statement about Comptroller and Auditor General of India is not correct? He has no direct access to the Parliament and no minister can represent him. His salary and emoluments are chargeable on the Consolidated Fund of India. He cannot disallow any expenditure which in his opinion violates the Constitution. He has been debarred from holding any office or profit under the union or state government after his retirement. इसका आंसर है, इसमें नॉट करेक्ट पूछा है तो इसका आंसर है सी. ही कैन नॉट डिसअलाउ एनी एक्सपेंडिचर व्हिच इन हिज ओपिनियन वायलेट्स द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, तो ये गलत होगा. तो इसी के साथ हमारा आज का टेस्ट सीरीज़ ख़त्म होता है. और अगर आप चैनल पर न्यू हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए और नोटिफिकेशन आइकन पर क्लिक कर दीजिए ताकि आप डेली लाइव क्लास ज्वाइन कर सकें. और वीडियो अच्छा लगे तो लाइक कर दीजिए. तो हमारा आज का सेशन यहीं तक था. और अगर आपको इसका PDF चाहिए तो मैं आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन प्रोवाइड कर दूँगी. तो आज का सेशन यहीं तक था. थैंक यू. थैंक्स फॉर ज्वाइनिंग.